Hello, my friends. We're going to continue talking on A Course in Miracles. And I'm going to read something from chapter 14, Teaching for Truth. This is from section 3, The Decision for Guiltlessness, which doesn't really seem like something that we can decide upon, does it? That we either are guilty of something or we're not. We don't get to pick and choose how we view ourselves, do we? Do I view myself? Do I even realize that I might be viewing myself as guilty of something? That deep in my subconscious mind, there's a sense of guilt for how I've approached life so far. According to the Course of Miracles, there's a deep sense of guilt because we believe that we caused the separation from the source, that we are separate from God, and that we are the cause of that separation. However, what the Course does is reverses that thinking, that there is no cause because the separation never happened. We're still connected with God. We're still connected with the source, that the fall from grace never happened. That we are still in Eden. We're still in the garden. So this is from verse 4. I absolutely love this. That each day, each hour and minute, even each second, you are deciding between the crucifixion and the resurrection, between the ego and the Holy Spirit. The ego is the choice for guilt, the Holy Spirit, the choice for guiltlessness. The power of decision is all that is yours. What can you decide between is fixed, because there are no alternative except truth and illusion. And there is no overlap between them, because they are opposite, which cannot be reconciled and cannot both be true. You are guilty, or guiltless, bound or free, unhappy or happy. It's a lot to unpack. But here's the thing, I absolutely love that each day, each hour and minute and each second, we're deciding between the crucifixion or the resurrection. Remember, the crucifixion, we are crucifying others as well, because we are projecting that, and our perception is causing a world where everyone is guilty of something, most especially ourselves, except we're loath to admit that. So that just deepens our projection, deepens our perception. But in that same moment, we can choose resurrection. How do we do that? One way: forgiveness. Forgiveness brings us back to love, always. Forgiveness is looking past the illusion that we are separate. It's looking past the illusion of the crucifixion. If Jesus knew that he was being crucified but rising from the dead in a matter of days, then he could overlook the suffering of the cross. And in overlooking the suffering of the cross, he forgave those who put him there. He looked down upon them and said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." He saw that they were still connected to their source, to original innocence, but they were deluded, that they were choosing in that moment the crucifixion. And yet they could, in that moment as well, decide for the resurrection. They just didn't know. The entirety of the path of yoga is remembering to know. It trains us. We see past the delusions of the mind, and we come once again to the resurrection. I'm mixing my spiritual metaphors a bit, but it's the only way to really bring that yogic perspective of the Course in Miracles. They're not so far apart. It's just different languages. And the Course really simplifies things. In yoga, we have the kleshas, the 5 afflictions of the mind. And A Course in Miracles boils it down to 2 things: fear and love. There's categories of fear. Do we need to know all the categories of fear? Maybe, maybe not. What we do need to know is that in any moment, we are projecting fear or we are extending love. Ultimately, yoga brings us to the point where we are extending love. Course in Miracles says, let's do it now. I'm not saying one path is better than the other. I am on both. And I love both. And I enjoy both. And I would never choose between the two. So, remember that when we choose the crucifixion, we are choosing ego. When we are choosing resurrection, we're choosing the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, let's not get caught up in religious terms or language. The Holy Spirit is simply the voice of our best and highest and most loving self, which exists right here and right now, but we've learned through life to ignore it. Course in Miracles simply asks us to return back to that voice. Surrender to it. Ask. Communicate. Ask the Holy Spirit, what do I do? How may I serve? Always given a reminder. So, the ego is the choice for guilt. We're seeing everyone guilty of something, including ourselves. Holy Spirit is the choice for guiltlessness. It's really amazing. When we begin to view ourselves in guiltlessness, we have no choice but to view others as guiltless as well. Not saying they haven't done something. Not saying they might not have hurt you. Not saying they might not have committed an act that looks almost impossible to forgive. And there are a lot of acts that seem impossible to forgive. We're not forgiving the acts. We're not even forgiving the person. We're looking deeper. We're looking deeper to the innocence that that person needs to be forgiven, for they know not what they do. All of us. We're in the same boat, guys. If it's true for us, it's true for everyone. If it's true for everyone, it's true for us. So we can begin seeing other people as guiltless, and guess what? It is soon reflected back as our own guiltlessness. Or we can begin seeing ourselves as guiltless, and guess what? It is extended outwards, and we're now seeing the guiltlessness of everyone. The power of decision is all that is yours. What you can decide between is fixed, because only one is real. One is true, always love. We always arrive to love through forgiveness. The other is an illusion. There's no overlap. How can truth and fiction, illusion and reality ever overlap? You are guilty or guiltless, bound or free, unhappy or happy. If you're holding grievances, you're not truly, truly happy. And you might not even realize that until you let it go. Almost everyone has told me at one point, I'd like to forgive, I'm just not there yet. Or, I can't forgive. I don't know how to get there. I don't want to get there. However, it takes an enormous amount of energy to stay there, to stay in that place. And if you let go, surrender to it. If you ask for help, Holy Spirit, God, the Tao, Krishna, Jesus, Shiva, doesn't matter. If you take the path of yoga, if you take the path of Buddhism, if you take the path of Taoism or A Course in Miracles, you will all arrive there. It just seems to me the direct path for me comes to forgiveness. Simplifies everything. When I forgive, I'm joyful. I'm happy. No grudges. I'm free. Man, you can't put a price on that freedom. You absolutely can't. Experience it for just a second. You don't want to go back. You don't want to start holding grudges and grievances. You don't want to have resentments clogging your creativity, blocking inspiration, draining you of energy. You won't want to go back. Try it and let me know. Take care, guys.